Hello everyone and welcome to the Sportiest stream. I'm SportyFC, joined by Sethpom, and we've got a best of 7 matchup here, the Blackline Championship Series. While they are in their off season, do still have their Grand Circuit qualifiers, and this is their Stage 2 Last Chance qualifier, the last chance to make it to their first major, I believe they're called majors, of the year, and I believe you have 3 of them overall. So for these teams, it's going to be a good chance to kind of get yourself started in the Blackline Grand Circuit. They're at their last chance, they're at their last life as well. If they lose this, there's no more options for making it through. So, Sethpom, it's going to be quite a match. It's going to be quite a series. This one is a best of 7, and if you lose, that's it. Your run is over.
Yeah, no, I think everything is on the line for these two teams tonight, and I think that just makes this that much more interesting. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this one plays out. Obviously, this 100x Nova team is, one of those teams that has been around for quite a while. They've sort of made a name for themselves in this league, and they just need this opportunity to try and prove themselves tonight. Obviously, I don't really know much about this YURR team, but I mean, this is going to be an interesting matchup to say the least. Obviously, both of these teams playing for their life in BLCS tonight, so we should expect to see some good competition.
They had some good competition here, and I think if we take a look at that bracket, that last chance qualifier bracket, I don't actually have the bracket pulled up for the other events, but again, both these guys started out in stage 1 of the qualifiers. They both obviously made it through, I think, relatively easily. Again, you don't make it through to this point of the tournament without being a pretty solid team overall, as YURR actually won their group, beating teams like Team El Hombre, who I believe are also in this last chance qualifier. Whereas for 100x Nova, who actually, by the way, have just changed their name. In fact, it's so new, they actually haven't had their name changed for Blackline, but in Blackline, they know as 100x Astra. That was the old name they went through. They only lost in the stage 1, went to Evolve Kyohaku. They made it out as the 2nd seed of their group, part of a huge stage 2 qualifier. These teams made it quite far, but they both were about a step or 2 away from making it. YURR was only 1 match away from qualifying through the stage 2 lower bracket, but they lost to Sloth Dark in that losers qualification match, and 100x 35 for them. They lost in round 1 of the lower bracket in at stage 2. Again, they've made it this. Again, the fact that they made it to stage 2 means even if they lose in the lower bracket, they can still move on. But the fact of the matter is, because they didn't do very well, they had to fight from the lower bracket for YURR. They were in the upper bracket, but they lost to the blue team. Now they've been bounced down here, and they've got to recover because this is not an easy series. And 100x Nova, well, they are the lower seeded team in this matchup by a decent margin. That momentum can definitely carry them through this lower bracket, and we've seen some insane lower bracket wins in the past, Sethpom.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. And I mean, 100x Nova have only 2 more games to go if they can go ahead and make it through the rest of this tournament and on to the next one. But I do think they have a chance of doing just that. I mean, they are one of the better teams to sort of enter the scene. Obviously, Evolve Kyohaku, a difficult team to take down. So, they have their chances, and I think that tonight is just sort of the start of it. Obviously, it will only get harder from here, and I do think that they have a good opportunity to go ahead and qualify. But again, they've got a little bit left to go, and this YURR squad is just the first one, just the first step in that journey on the way to that final bracket.
Yeah, perhaps Nova, their only win being Golden Hour Esports rain down here, but that matchup was one they expected to take. This one's a little bit more difficult, and as you said, you're a team that has made a pretty good run. Air Rejects, Brian, CB, again, a team that's not very recognizable in Blackline, but Nova are. They were known as Striker Esports in the past. It's Deshega and Aqua who were teammates on that. Now adding in calls and with Coach Luke in the backfield. So again, this is the Striker Esports team, but since then they have been on a downward spiral. They have not been able to reclaim that high level they had in the Premier Circuit of last season for the Blackline Championship Series. They had such an insane run. They were undefeated, I think, for the first 4 or 5 weeks of gameplay in that division, which is no easy feat in the Premier Circuit, the 2nd highest division of Blackline Championship Series. Again, for what was season 14 of last season, but they ended off their season 7-2, still the best team in their grouping. When it came to that final bracket, they did not have an easy time. They did win out, go to that final stage of the competition, but they went 0-2, bounced out of that final stage in the Premier Circuit to University of Connecticut and LeBron James Esports. In fact, it would be UConn who actually got second place in that tournament. So, Striker, or I should now say 100x Nova, are looking to reclaim what they kind of fell off from in that Premier Series. And it's a much bigger tournament, the Grand Circuit. There's going to be a lot more teams that really want to win this. Much bigger deal in the Blackline Championship Series. So, if they can reclaim this, they'll all but... If that Premier Series... those Premier Series losses will be all but forgotten.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And I mean, again, we know that the sort of reputation that this 100x Nova squad has, they know how to put it together. They know how to play Team Rocket League, and I mean, if you've seen them play in the past, they're tough to take down. So again, I do think they have a good chance at this series. Obviously, you know, a little bit of momentum just from the previous games so far this year in the BLCS. But, you know, they're just looking to continue that run and try to find a way into that final bracket. And like I said, I mean, these guys probably the favorites to win. 100x Nova, probably the favorites to win in this one. Even though, as I said, I do think it will go quite the distance. Obviously, this is a best of 7, so a long series. And it's not to say that it can really go either way, but I mean, if you guys think that you got any predictions, or you think, you know, hey, maybe we got this going on tonight, feel free to make your predictions with the channel points. Of course, obviously, it's a big, important part of letting us know who you think is going to be taking the win in this series.
I'm impressed that you said that they're the favorites here, 100x Nova. They're not the favorites, actually. They're coming from the lower bracket.
Oh, really?
You call them the favorites here. You really do believe in that much in the lower bracket momentum, and, well, why not? Lower bracket wins aren't uncommon. They are not seeded as the favorites. They did not get through stage 2 all that nicely for themselves, but I'm interested to see that you called them the favorites. Again, you believe that much in lower bracket momentum, and sometimes that momentum does make you the favorites. And I think this game 1, I know so often we say game 1 is not important. In a best of 7, it's a feel-out game. Game 1's going to matter here for this team, because you need to come out hot, you need to come out strong, and if these teams don't do it, they're going to be in a horrible position. So being able to get off to a good start is going to be necessary, especially for a team like Nova, who, again, are coming with that momentum, and they really can't lose it.
Yeah. And that is a good point. I had sort of left my mind that this YURR squad had come from the upper bracket. But, I mean, you know, it is important that they do have that lower bracket momentum. And I do think that, you know, they've taken down some pretty good teams to get to this point so far. And I think to sort of make that argument is valid. I think, you know, they do have a good chance of taking this series and going the long way. But obviously, YURR is going to give them a run for their money. It's not to, you know, not give them credit or anything along those lines, because they will be a tough team to beat. And it really just, as you said, that game 1 will be important. It will depend who comes out of the gate strong with some momentum and tries to carry that into the rest of the series. Obviously, long series still. So game 1 may not determine everything, but it will certainly give a good leg up to one of these two teams going into the rest of the series.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way you think of it. And while again we're waiting for YURR to see if they'll give Nova the run for the money, or vice versa. Right now, it may seem like YURR may be running away from this match. They actually aren't here yet. They just told me they're a bit delayed, so they will be here in just a few minutes. But yeah, as you mentioned again, these teams are going to need to give each other runs. And the crazy thing about this match again is the fact that, you know, for both these teams, they've got a long route to go. I mean, if we just take a look at that lower bracket, just look at how long that match that they still have to go. Even for this reminder, there's still another team from the upper bracket they're going to have to play before they even have their chance of making it. So, you know, it's all best of 7s. Look at the other team as well. Sloth, Lost Dog, Sloth Apocalypse. Both of those teams can beat either of these two. Both these teams are good enough. And I think I don't know which one of those two is better. Sloth Dogs, Lost Dogs, I think, are slightly better in that matchup. But it doesn't matter. Both those teams can beat these guys. Can beat either of these two. And so, just kind of seeing the teams that we are seeing here, you know, there's no easy matchups anymore in this last chance qualifier. All these teams are pretty close to each other in their overall rank level, and there are some mismatches that I'm seeing in this lower bracket, but for the most part there really isn't. And you have to play your best. If you don't, you're going to be at a very tough position, because these matchups, they're going to telegraph everything out of you. Because if you don't put everything in, you're going to be out of this tournament, and it's going to be quick. And I mean, we see so many teams that go 0-2 in a tournament. They lose once, and they just can't recover. Neither YURR can't do that, and Astra, they just can't even lose once. They've already seen what it's like to lose, and then to not be able to recover. So these teams, they have the pressure on them to perform well, and they're going to have to do it, because if they don't, they are going to have such a tough time.
Yeah, and it will not be easy from here on out. Like I said, this is only step one of a possible 3 to get to that final bracket, and it's not going to be an easy few steps for this 100x Nova team, who, you know, as I said, they do have that momentum going for them, especially in the lower bracket, and, you know, perhaps a bit overlooked in terms of team skill and really their capabilities as a squad. But it will really depend on whether or not they can take this win here tonight and then carry that momentum forward into the rest of their series as well. I mean, it will be a long next couple of weeks for them, as they, I'm sure, will be putting in the work to make sure that they are up to standard with these other teams. Obviously, those Sloth Aqua teams, I believe is the name of the organization, are going to be tough to take down. They're going to be a little unfortunate for them having to play each other there in the sort of elimination round, but still a very good opportunity to go ahead and, you know, prove themselves. I think if 100x Nova can, you know, take this series and take that momentum into the next, I think they do have a good opportunity to prove themselves. But like I said, this your team is going to give them a run for their money, and it will be tough tonight and going forward.
Don't feel bad for Slav. They have like a million different teams. They already have 4 teams that have qualified into the main event. So Slav I think will be just fine, even if one of their teams loses here. In the bracket, they also have a 3rd team in Slav Shinobi as well. The upper bracket has Slav Sovereign as well. There's a good chance they may get Slav at Risk Youth, which is a great team name. Also, right now in the upper brackets, they have 5 different Slav teams still playing this tournament. They've already had 4 of them qualify. Trust me when I say this, Slav as an org are fine. they'll be okay. I know their owner, his name's Sandsbar, great guy. There's going to be Slav teams. Like Slav even made it to the grand finals, I believe, for last season and got 2nd place. So don't worry about Slav. That org is fine. They have like 20 different teams, and they're all very, very good. So, but yeah, as you mentioned again, there's again the winner of that matchup though is no easy matchup for either of these two. But for now, they just gotta focus on each other. That max match doesn't matter. You take it 1 series at a time. I've heard players say it all the time. They don't care what happens next week, so long as they care about what happens this week first. And knowing these two teams, what do you have to do with this? Again, they're not going to get cupcake matches. This is not going to be a walkthrough for any of them. They've got to play well, and they've got to play as if their life's on the line, because it is on the line for this tournament. Their run is on the line here, and these teams, they've just not been able to complete the wins, complete the matchups, and you know, finish off their series. So for them, they have to really gonna put their foot on that gas pedal, really go at full speed, because, as I said, it's elimination. Now is a better time than any to throw everything you have at that opposing net.
Yeah, and if they can really come out of the gate strong and do that, I think, you know, they will be okay. They have a better chance of taking this series. As you said, this game 1 will be super important in determining whether or not, you know, either of these teams will be able to take that momentum going into the rest of the series. And I mean, obviously, as I said, best of 7s are long series. They can really go either way depending on, you know, what this sort of shift in momentum happens. We don't have tactical timeouts in this series, so it could be a little bit of a stick to your kind of momentum sort of story in this series. But again, it does depend on, you know, who comes out of the gate strong and how they use their time in between matches wisely, because obviously without a tactical timeout, you got to make quick adjustments, and you got to find a way to still put the pressure on the other team, even if you are down big in the series. So I don't know, Sporty, I mean, how do you feel about the tactical timeout the lack of tactical timeouts and perhaps the use
Well,
of time in between.
it is a qualifier, so I don't blame Black Lion for not doing that because it's so tough to manage that kind of stuff when you
Sure.
are streaming everything. But it does mean that these matchups are going to be more one-sided and they're going to be more decided by huge swings of momentum. As now, ironically, YURR has now just joined. We're waiting on Nova to join now. So we've now flipped. It's now YURR who's ready and Nova who isn't. So we'll get these teams in soon enough. At some point, things are going to connect. Again, I apologize for these delay here, but we're going to get these guys in. As a quick update for you all as well. I know I've been mentioned about this, and I actually forgot to make the change. Air Rejects is actually Fanu. He actually, I think, has changed his name to Fanu. He told me about that, and I forgot to update it as well. So quickly, if we go to our lineups here, it's not Air Rejects who's the captain. It's Fanu. Fanu, Brian, CB will be playing tonight. On the other side for Nova, it's Teshega, Aqua, and Cause. So we'll get these guys in as soon as we can. Again, apologies on the amount of waiting that we're forcing on you guys. I promise you, we can't control that. We are just waiting for these teams to both be in the lobby, but as soon as they're here, as soon as they're ready, we'll get this best of 7 started. And I know for you, Sethpom, at least, the fun part about this match is that it's elimination, that somebody's going to be sent home, that, you know, for these teams, they don't have an extra life ahead of them.
Yeah, I mean, that's what, as I said at the beginning, that's such an important part of this series. These teams playing for their tournament lives at the moment, playing for their chances at that final bracket, and something that's, you know, really important. I mean, this is just one of those opportunities that that doesn't come by very often. And I think these guys, you know, if they take the most of it tonight, they have a chance to go ahead and run with it. But obviously, again, lots of tough matchups ahead. This is only the beginning of the road for them here tonight. And again, it will depend on whether or not they can keep that momentum. Maybe we don't even see either of these teams in that lower bracket final and moving on. But regardless, I do think that this will be an entertaining matchup tonight.
Yeah, it should be.
So,
again, we're still waiting on these teams. They'll give the Nova side 5 more minutes. They should be here in any moment anyways. We saw that they joined earlier. But again, yeah, as you said, we may not see any of these two teams go to that qualification round. That's how, you know, uncertain this lower bracket is for any team. Especially ones that have been knocked down here so quickly because, reminder, they still have to play all the teams in this bracket and at least one more team in the upper bracket. So, just to make it in. So, and those teams in the upper bracket are no joke. They're scary, they're good, and they're going to get wins when they need to. So, expect some tough matchups. Expect these teams to really bring their all, and knowing how good these teams are, I wouldn't be feel so safe if I was on these sides, even if I do win. So, especially not for Nova because they are such a low seed compared to most of the other teams in this bracket. But again, they do have, you know, the experience of having been in that Premier Series, of competing with some of these top teams. Would not be unlike them to make it to that main event. I believe the only 135 team that's actually still left in this qualification stage. So for 135, their hopes rest on this team because they don't have any other teams competing in this tournament that have made it this far. They've had a couple, like, you know, Carbon and El Canton have both joined in, but those teams are like Champ 3 and GC1 respectively. So both of them got out very quickly, and I think stage 1 or very least at the start of stage 2. So for this was their best chance of making it to that main event in Nova, and Nova right now on the brink of elimination of the org total.
yeah. And I mean, again, that's what just makes this series so much more entertaining. Knowing what's on the line tonight, not only for this team and for the rest of this tournament, but also just going into, you know, the fact of representing 100 by 35. I mean, 100x Nova, they want to do a good job of representing. Obviously, they've made it this far. This is certainly acceptable to, you know, the people over at 100 by 35. But to go ahead and make that main event, I mean, that would be an extra statement. It would go ahead and secure themselves likely a better spot in 100 by 35. And I mean, ultimately, they would get more respect for their efforts, and that's what they would deserve. So they're playing for a lot tonight, not only to continue their life in this tournament, but also for the extra respect in the organization.
Yeah, I mean, respect carries a lot with you, but again, you know these teams, they just want to make it. They want to make it to that main event, they want to get as far as they can, and these kind of matches really do determine that. Here, quickly, as I'm hearing, I think 100x have just joined in, so we'll get this match underway. Again, apologies on such a long delay. These teams both had some technical issues on their side, but everything has been sorted out here. So these teams are ready. We are ready as well. Let's get to this best of 7. The loser of this match is eliminated from the Grand Circuit qualification stage. This is the last chance qualifier, the last chance to make it to that main event. 100x Nova on the blue and YURR on the orange. A best of 7 to determine whose life will stay intact.
And already 100x getting pressure started. Double tap opportunity. Shot not on target from Tshega. And quickly, possession taken by YURR. And it may end up being a very back and forth game, as we're already seeing within the first few seconds here in game number 1.
100x Nova, just look at this pressure. They came out high flying. I really did mention that, you know, for either of these teams, they need to come out with a good start here in game 1. And Nova looking to do it. YURR back to the way. And that's off the post by Fanu. YURR nearly able to take advantage of what has been a consistent Nova mistake in the past. When we've seen them on the stream, back when they were known as 100x Astra, back when they were known as Striker Esports, is that they have been known to overcommit. And this new roster specifically, with Kaz being the newest added player, he has been known to allow those overcommits, and they really need to be careful as Kaz may have been caught there, and he will. Fanu to take it, and YURR have caught 100x Nova on their cardinal mistake.
Yeah, and I do find it funny that you mentioned Kaz being the culprit of the overcommits for 100x, and he did it right there. I mean, obviously, a newer player to this roster can make things perhaps a little bit awkward for him, but certainly something that 100x Nova will look to continue to improve on if they can actually somehow prevail later through tonight. But a shot will come out from Bry, and the second goal for YURR will be found from the midfield.
We mentioned about
with the miss on that one, and again, perhaps a mistake.
My apologies there. I took over you there for a second, Sethpom, but I was just going to say, we mentioned how earlier Nova had the early aggression, but they haven't scored off it. It's YURR who's just taking advantage of these counterattacks, these counterplays, just waiting for Nova to make mistakes, and you're just seeing that for YURR, they're just a much more composed roster. They're not playing so quickly, not playing so frenetically. They're keeping things calm, they're keeping things simple. They're just taking advantage of the weaknesses that Nova have shown them, and well, they're continuing to do that here as Fanu now the dribble stopped by Tshega, and for YURR, their best success might actually be sitting back on defense, because that's when Nova's holes in their backline start to show themselves. That's a great pinch. Bry will save and calls the make one. He will, making amends for that first mistake he had. Nova are 1 goal back in it.
And good for Kaz to get a little bit of a redemption shot off the rebound from Bry, put a top left corner away from those defenders, and perhaps get himself a little bit of confidence going into the rest of this game here, which he certainly seemed to be needing after making a couple mistakes early on. But obviously at this level, there's so much that goes into it, as Kaz will find a second open net off the miss from the Fanu, I believe, on the backboard. And just like that, 100x Nova back in this one.
Yeah, you mentioned that there's so much that goes into every goal. There wasn't really much into that play. Kaz just had to make sure he was on target. And it's Nova who have now suddenly tied things up off a mistake from YURR, and well, we're seeing this match is going to be pretty close here. And you know, Sethpom, I initially kind of, you know, didn't know how much Nova were going to play well in this matchup, but I think they've convinced me. You definitely were convinced by them even before this series started, and well, now I can see why. This is a team that's got the energy to take this series, and they've definitely got the confidence too. And you know, ever since I last saw this team, I was always worried about their overall rotational aspect, but that has simply gotten better over time, as now another chance in front, another open net. Tshega will take it, and Nova have just made a 3-goal swing in the span of not even, I think, 45 seconds.
Yeah, quick response from them here, and that's what you love to see, especially at this level, putting it together despite going down early in the game, you know, keeping their mentals high, and, you know, not even halfway through the game, quickly finding a way back into it, and in fact taking a lead as well. So, you know, I like to say I have some good faith in this team, but I mean, what can I say? I knew from the get-go that these guys would be something special. I know that they have the capability, obviously, to be playing at this level. To have made it this far in the tournament is no easy feat, and these guys have proved so far, why they're here tonight, and why they look to continue to make their runs as pressure will continue for 100x Nova. Aqua making a good 50 with 2 defenders. Kaz will have another opportunity to take a shot, and again, although he's been sort of the reason they're being scored on, he's also the reason they're scoring, and that's an important role to play if you are 100x Nova.
And because that was only that first mistake that allowed YURR to get into it, but he has since been able to completely flip this game around. It's really been him who has been the player to decide this game so far, and well, he's making sure that it's his team that's the one that's in the lead at this point. But YURR back to the way. Bry gets past one, and Aqua will be up quickly, but 100x Nova have to watch out as a follow-up from Thanu. That goes high, but CB's shot will be deflected wide, and YURR continue their onslaught. Bry to the sidewall, gets past one, now Kaz is waiting, but no boost from Bry. He'll take it slow. Aqua to the corner, Thanu ready to respond, and that net's open, but this Shega will get there in time, and his pinch will send that ball away as Nova's defense given a tough time there sitting that far on their goal line, but they do hold on, and if they continue to do so, this game one will be theirs. Aqua, another chance on the field, but that counterattack will fizzle out quickly.
That's been such good patience from 100x as Kaz will be linking up with Tashega in the midfield. What a play from 100x Nova. Finding each other, Kaz slotting that down low, and that will give a little bit of insurance to 100x Nova, who have a 2-goal lead now with the final 43 seconds remaining here in game 1. And what a good way to get it started. But as I said, it's been 100x Nova who have sort of flipped the script of the game. It looked like YURR was being a lot more patient earlier on in the series, but the patience now from 100x Nova has been really helping them out on defense and giving them opportunities to push back the other way and continue to extend their lead.
Maybe I spoke a little too soon there, saying that their offense had fizzled out from 100x Nova, because it definitely didn't, and it's Kaz who's completed his hat-trick off of it, and it's been Kaz this game who's scored the majority of the goals for 100x Nova, and it's gonna be him who will be able to take this game, but YURR want one more chance just to get something. Nova have completely panicked, but they realize this game is theirs, and there's nothing to be worried about anymore as that ball will hit the ground, and good start for 100x Nova. Game 1 is theirs, and the lower back of momentum will continue to assist in this team's victories.
Yeah, and I mean, what a good way to get game number 1 started. As we said in the pre-show, I mean, this game 1 was going to determine a lot. It's going to be very important going into the rest of the series, and I mean, 100x Nova came out strong. They did a very good job of finding a way to keep their momentum into the rest of the series, or look to keep their momentum in the rest of the series. But getting it started was really the toughest part for them, and they've certainly done it here. I mean, obviously, going down early in the game, but that didn't let it get to him. Again, they found a way to break through. They found a way to keep it going on offense and ultimately take the win there in game number 1. And Sporty, I mean, what do you think it's going to take for them to sort of keep it going? Because I'm sure YURR is going to come back here in game 2 with a lot more pressure.
Yeah, they will. I think YURR's going to try to pick up that pace a little bit. For them, as I said, they kind of played a bit relaxed in that game. They tried to take things slow. They tried to see if Nova's pace could be their own enemy, and it wasn't that for Nova. They definitely picked things up. Kaz is on the net a lot, and for YURR, if they can sever those passes to Kaz, they're going to be successful. They just got to be able to do that here. But for Nova, all they need to do is just continue what they've been doing. Wait to see what YURR will throw at them, and then make a response. And with the offense already for 100x Nova, they're still just as aggressive, and that's a good sign for things to come. As Tashega now off to the back wall, and then he will stop it, but YURR's going to get this ball out quickly if they want to be off to a good start in game 2, especially as the series has not started off very well for them. Last game with that comeback from Kaz, and well, for Nova, they're looking to make sure that if they can score first, this is the game to do it, and really set the tempo here against YURR.
Yeah, and I love the confidence coming out from 100x Nova already here in game number 2. So much pressure has been working out for them. Kaz playing patiently in the midfield as well. Perhaps a bit of a different personality than we saw early on in game number 1, but again, working very well. 100x Nova seem to have a little bit of swagger here in game number 2 as they have taken that momentum from game number 1 and look to continue it. But another opportunity will arise from CB, who has an opportunity to play around Aqua, but he can't quite get the touch, and Kaz will look for Tashega. No connection on the pass. And the demo from CB will open up a bit of space.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, those demos might become more of a factor here as YURR, again, just need to pick up that pace. They need to play a little bit faster, a little bit more in your face against Nova. We'll see that when Nova's on defense, when they're sitting on that back line, they have a tendency to panic and a tendency to overcommit. And for YURR, they need to take full advantage of the fact that Nova will do that. And the way to do it is to stay really close to them, to stay really high up, and really press here on Nova's offense. Getting multiple shots, demos, whatever they can to create chaos here. And so far, they want to sit back. They don't want to take that chance. And that is going to prove to make their offense a whole lot tougher to create. And Nova have no problem dealing with that because for them, it just means they're going to have less to deal with.
Yeah, I think Nova, again, have been feeling strong and confident. They don't really look too phased on defense right now, but they haven't found a goal just yet here in game number 2. And obviously, that confidence can start to fizzle out as time continues to tick down in this game. These teams looking ever so close here in game number 2, but a bump will open up some space to Shega, trying to open it up for Aqua, but a good 50 from the defense of YURR will push the ball back down the other way. A bit of a double commit could open up the net for Thanu, who looks for Brian on the wall. And again, it's this sort of slow play that YURR is putting together. No real threatening shots, and the shot quality, especially at this level, is going to matter a lot.
It is, and there's something else to even mention as well about this Nova team. Again, even back when they were no striker, these guys are used to tournament pressure. They are used to playing under tournament pressure. We've seen them actually on the stream back at striker even before Blackline. I think I haven't even mentioned that yet to Shega and Aqua, both teammates on striker back when they played in the Ascent Tournament Series Rival Cup. That was many months ago, so I don't blame anybody if they don't remember that, but that was a tournament where they got second place. So these guys are used to playing with tournament pressure, used to be playing with their lives on the line, and this is a really big match for them as a whiff on the back wall, and Nova will get that first goal to Shega after almost 3.5 minutes. We'll get a flip reset. He doesn't connect on it, but Thanu missed, and that's going to be one that Nova will take.
Perhaps a little bit of a fake reset there. Maybe not exactly what Tashega was looking for, but still able to put it on and keep it out of reach from the defenders. Obviously a little bit unexpected there from YURR. Would have liked to have made that save, but another opportunity will arise. Tashega with the redirect from the midfield. Aqua finding him all the way in the orange half, and very good recognition from Tashega to sort of know that there's nobody back there. Put that one on and extend the lead for 100x Nova. 1:30 remaining, 2-0 the score.
And it's one of those situations where for Aqua making that assist, he was probably screaming at him, no, there's nobody back, there's nobody back, there's nobody back. just shoot it on targets, and I think Tashega got that message pretty clearly there. And yeah, for YURR, they set a lot of people up for that challenge. You can tell that they don't like this. They're not the faster team in this match. They're not the team that's winning on the offense either. And that's where Nova is finding the success. It's just for the fact that YURR just don't have a very fast play style. They want to slow things down. And Nova are ready to deal with that. Again, they struggle more to teams that play closer up to them, that play in their face, that play a lot more quickly, that don't try to keep things calm and collected. And for YURR, they're going to need to completely flip this playstyle out. I want to see them, live in that chaotic playstyle, because that's really the way you beat this Nova team, is by playing with that chaos, because Nova don't like that. They don't like it when you're close up to them, and you're already seeing that. That is making the difference, as there you see YURR with all 3 players up, and immediately Nova has given them an open net to look at. So for YURR, I feel like this game too has to be a realization for them that what they're doing right now is just not the playstyle that's going to beat Nova.
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting point, as CB from the midfield will put this one on. Bottom left corner. What a play from CB to play around a couple defenders. Tashega didn't find the touch he was looking for off the sidewall, and that one will open up the net. So 22 seconds remaining for YURR to find that second goal and perhaps take this game 2 to overtime. But it does seem like they have sort of found the formula to win a little bit, as they have been pounding the pressure on. But Tashega will look to keep this on the orange half for as long as he possibly can. Kaz up for it early, looking for the dunk, but CB making the save. Right to the sidewall, final seconds. Can he play round 1? But it looks like that will maybe be the end. This one looking low, and the clear cannot be kept up. So 100x Nova taking an early lead in the series. 2 games already in their favor. And what a way to get it started. As we said, these early games going to be important. And a very good way from 100x Nova to get it started.
It is, as you mentioned, it's a great way for them. And as we said, there's no tactical timeouts, so that momentum's going to carry through into Game 3. Almost guaranteed. So for YURR and what they have been trying, they tried to do what they did in Game 1. They tried that same playstyle, that same level of pressure. We've seen that it doesn't work. This Nova side can play against that slower, more methodical team. And we'll see what they do. But we did see a little bit more of the demos from YURR, and I like to see that from them. If they are trying to, you know, break down that Nova defense, if they continue going for it, and maybe just up the ante, up the pressure, they will have success. They just need to find it, because this Nova side will be used to playing against teams that want to play a little bit more slowly. They won't be so used to teams that want to do what YURR is starting to do, which is demo and play a little bit faster. But for YURR, this wasn't a terrible game for them, even if their playstyle didn't find all that much offense. They still had 4 shots compared to the 5 of Nova. They were only 1 goal away, so this is an improvement from Game 1, at least in my eyes, for YURR.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. It did really feel like, sort of at the second that you mentioned it, YURR had figured out exactly what it took to sort of take down this 100x Nova team, and had figured out sort of the play style that they need to be putting together to, you know, perhaps have a chance at this series. Obviously, it's taken a little bit of time to find that adjustment, but it does look like YURR is feeling a little bit more confident going into this game number 3. Obviously, 100x looking to likely take this one in a sweeping fashion, but you're not going to let that happen so easily.
Oh, and with Nova already looking to push up to offense, it's a repeat of what they're trying in Game 2. They aren't going to overcommit, they aren't going to send each other up as high as they did in Game 1, but they are going to keep that offense, they are going to keep pushing upfield, and YURR's going to be able to deal with that, because Nova's not going to change. That playstyle that they're going for is consistent from these guys, and they know it's one that can break through basically any team out there. And for YURR, well, they need to first of all not team bump each other as they did right there, but also just be able to deal with that as that's a chance in front. Aqua stopped by Brian. He could score this one. He will, off the post and in. YURR with the first strike, and you know, with all the offense I got, this felt like it was a very real possibility.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a strange play, but Bry did find the dunk on Aqua, who I believe was the last back, and quickly turned it into a goal as well. The good pace from Bry to be able to get an early lead here for YURR, who will need to continue to extend as another opportunity will arise. Tanu getting blocked up by Tashega and quickly going to be back down the other way. Can Aqua put it on? Yes, he can! Bottom right corner, and Aqua finds the equalizer here for 100x Nova.
Well, that didn't take too long as YURR caught on another overcommit, but for Nova, they're used to playing the overcommit. Now they're sitting back, now they're waiting a little bit more on those chances. They're recognizing that YURR does like to push that midfield. They like to play aggressive on those midfield challenges, and that's where you can catch teams on those counterattacks, is through that midfield. But I wouldn't hold it against YURR. I don't mind them taking those kind of chances, so long as they don't give away goals too often, and so long as they continue to try to mix things up. It shouldn't become a real issue for them here, as they have kept offense still in this game, and I've loved the pressure they have. This feels like a whole different YURR roster, but again, they're caught that midfield challenge, and that might become an issue for them if Nova continue to realize it, which I feel like they already have from what we saw last goal. But for YURR, they're continuing just to challenge that midfield and play upfield, and just look at what they're doing here. They're creating havoc for Nova, and Nova just is not reacting to it very well.
Yeah, and I do like the physicality that we've seen from YURR. You know, sort of bringing out the demos, looking to try and create some space for each other in the midfield, and it is effective. But what is really most important for these teams is the sort of counterattacking ability. We know how many goals have been scored in this series just by quick counterattacks and quick opportunities that, you know, wouldn't normally amount to much, but both of these teams, as you said, really enjoy playing that midfield, perhaps pushing up a bit too far, getting a little bit risky with it, and still finding a way to break through all the way back down the other way. So we will have to see whether or not either of these teams, you know, continue to sort of lean on those quick counterattacks, or whether or not it comes down to a sort of pressure situation, which And I mean, as you said, 100x Nova don't really like dealing with. They don't like other teams being in their faces and things along those lines. So I will be curious to see the adjustments made from YURR here, but pressure will be mounting for 100x.
Yeah, and what I've loved to seen a lot more of is the fact that Aqua is getting in the demo game. It's usually Kaz who follows that up as the second player with that shot, but now it's Aqua who's taking more of that role, and you're seeing a lot of demos from him. You're seeing a lot of him play that demo player, but here he's going to make that block, and he will come through with Shishega. Aqua now, first man up, he's got the dribble, and the mechanics will be stopped by Fanu, but Kaz, there he goes, second player in, and he's, again, usually looking for those shots. Aqua's usually looking for those demos, and for Nova, they're, again, utilizing the fact that Aqua's connected on a lot of these demos, and you're really isn't expecting them from Aqua. They're not expecting that many demos from Nova. Overall, and when Nova does learn a demo, YURR isn't really ready for it, and that means Nova has space here as Deshego in a great amount of space. Flip resets, got it! And that net will be asking for the goal. Deshego will deliver, and it's a 2-1 lead.
And what a play from Teshega, getting the reset to get over the final two defenders. And that will give 100x the lead. As you said, such an important part of this game. And you cannot overcommit like that if you are YURR. Perhaps a bit of panic on defense. 100x Nova finding a way to break through. As another shot from Fanu will quickly come back out. Will be denied by Kaz. And 100x will stay in the lead. So, very good play. And could be yet again another game win here for 100x if somehow YURR don't find a way in these final 30 seconds to find a response.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the chaos from that last goal came from Kaz going for the bumps, but there won't be anybody back. Fanu in the midfield, and YURR have answered here. It's a tied game as Kaz caught guarding the post. He could not rotate back in time, but it's just a perfectly placed shot from the captain of YURR. And that is a beautiful way to mark your return to keep this game close. YURR can't afford to lose here. They can't give Nova a match point.
I think you're absolutely right. I mean, going down 3-0 in a series, obviously not the kind of place that you want to be. But if you are 100x Nova, that's exactly the place you want to be. As Teshega does find a demo, could open up the net for Kaz, who will put it on smack dab in the middle. And with the final 9 seconds remaining, 100x Nova have found a way yet again to break through, relying on that physicality, the open net, and looks like it will be going in their favor after all.
Oh, there's 9 seconds left, and there's only a 1-goal difference. YURR off the kickoff have won this one. Well, CB gets it past Aqua. Shots going on. Kaz got to be at the block, but it will stay up for Zevo. Fanu's whiff though, and that is it for Game 3. Nova now on quadruple match point here in the series. 4 chances to move on and send YURR out of the Grand Circuit Last Chance Qualifier.
And it's quite funny because I was expecting Nova to do quite well in this series, but I wasn't expecting it to go this fast. And they have certainly come out of the gate strong, and they have not looked back. And I mean, we did mention how important those first couple games would be and how much they would matter going into the rest of this series. And this is proving exactly why. I mean, YURR, as you said, the favorites by seeding to come into the game, but 100x Nova, I mean, they've been doing such a good job of keeping offensive pressure, keeping that momentum in the series, and ultimately continuing their momentum from the lower bracket as well. I mean, all of these wins have accumulated into this confident, dominant play style that we're seeing from this 100x Nova team.
And they love offense. I think one of the fun things about this roster as well is that they also have what's called defensive pressure. They like to put the pressure on, and even when they're in the backfield. They will play up high, they will challenge, and overall, we haven't really seen that from them. They like to do that, they haven't seen it though. This team's sat back a lot more. They're waiting for the shots from YURR, and they've been able to block them so far, and you know, for YURR, they haven't even gotten to meet what, again, it's the defensive pressure from Nova. That could make things really tough for them because Nova haven't had to go about it. It's a lot riskier for them to go up like that with the pressure on defense, but they will set up pretty high at times, and for YURR, they haven't had to deal with it, and once they start dealing with it, their playstyle could really suffer because, again, that pacing, the predictability of YURR is definitely something that Nova are realizing, and it's something that Nova are adapting to by sitting back and waiting for the shots to come. As another demo, and oh, Kaz has just been bumped into that save there. That could have been Nova's first. I think the net was wide open for them, and well, already we're seeing Cause again on the demos, and that's, you know, going to be a huge factor for Nova, because that's what really allowed them to win last game, were those demos, and a lot of them did come from Cause. A lot of the other ones came from Aqua.
Yeah, and I'd be curious to see sort of who steps up here for 100x Nova in terms of demos, and perhaps redirects as Aqua looks for it. What an angle from Aqua! Oh my goodness! The pre-jump, Kaz found the pass all the way up high, and Aqua dropping it down top bins. What a play!
And there's that defensive pressure I mentioned. Aqua challenging so aggressively in that midfielder challenge. He had no fight in winning. And yet he took it, and he made it work. What a play there from Aqua to really send his team up, as Cause now going for his own version of that play and nearly hit it as well. YURR needs to get this one up the field and really send Nova down. But Nova, well, that's a new one. Cause has scored in his own nets, and it has been tied up. I don't even think YURR expected that, even with that great dunk from Brian. Cause, well, I don't know what that was from him in front of the nets. He must have just took his eye off the ball for just a split second.
Yeah, just not the touch he was looking for, and it does end up in his net. So YURR will find a bit of a freebie, and that seems to be momentum perhaps given away a little bit by 100x Nova off the mechanical goal. And I mean, sort of an unfortunate way to even up the game, but YURR will take it nonetheless. I'm sure they are looking to keep their lives alive, their hopes alive in this series, as they do have a tie game now. If demo will come out, Aqua finding the reset, looking for Kaz in the midfield, but he isn't there to follow just yet. Ball will go back down the other way for now. A good 50 from CB to the sidewall. Aqua quick to be up for it, though. Could be open. Double tap opportunity saved away by Thanu. And this one will still be in the orange half for now. Kaz looking for another redirect. This one, again, going a bit wide, and still we are tied. 3 minutes left, and we are needing YURR to find a way to break through, find a way to take at least this game in order to have a chance at the rest of the series.
As you mentioned, this series, their tournament life lies on winning this game here in this series, and not just this game, but 3 games afterwards. Winning the reverse sweep. Nova, not letting them have it here is for YURR, what's become a bigger issue for them, has been the boost. You're seeing Nova head to that back wall far more often than they have in previous games, and that's really to set that pressure, but that's a beautiful pass from CB, and Dry's got an open net in front, and for YURR, while boost has been an issue for them, that pass is not, and it's perfectly placed by CB.
Very good pass as well. I mean, perfect touch to get the pinch off the wall, and then finding a teammate in the midfield, that is something special, and I think that's exactly what YURR needed to get their momentum going in the rest of the series. As a good 50 from Thano will come out, could open up another opportunity. Kaz trying to make it clear, but quickly back down the other way, and this could be a dangerous counterattack. Bryce still getting around it, and the lead will remain in favor of YURR for now, but again, pressure still finding itself on the orange half of the field as Teshega makes the redirect in front of the orange net to find the equalizer. Nobody home for YURR. Bry perhaps a bit lost in the corner there. I'm not quite sure what was going on.
I think the one thing he didn't recognize was that Teshega was actually right behind him. No one told him, I believe, and yeah, that's why he kind of gravitated towards that corner. It was just didn't think anybody from Nova was behind him there, but Teshega was, and well, for YURR, it's, yeah, as you said, lost in the corner there. And that's going to prove to be a huge issue as this game continues. And Nova looking for more offense already off that midfield. Teshega past Thanu. Cause last one, but he won't challenge. And he may have made a mistake there because Thanu won't take that shot. But he very well could have. And could have been YURR with another chance as now. Demo from Aqua. CB there, but Aqua again getting that bump. And CB will still win the challenge, but you're seeing this Nova side. I mean, Teshega now with a defensive demo. YURR is getting removed off this field. They'll have a counter demos too, but we're seeing Nova up the pressure, up the demos, and for YURR, they can't let this series go on because the longer this game goes, the more Nova's going to keep doing that, and the more they're going to get chances. For YURR, I really see this as a game where they need to score in regulation. I don't know if they're going to get much chances in overtime. As another shot on, 2 players whiff, and it's open for Aqua. Nova will score with 54 seconds left, and with a 1-goal lead, the pressure is on YURR.
And the statement comes out, 100x finding a way to break through yet again. The double miss from YURR will open up the net, and that has got to be a small hit to the mental of YURR, who's already down big in the series. That was such an uphill battle to at least force an overtime here in game number 4 and try and not end this series in a sweep. But, I mean, 100x Nova are making that so difficult. Continue to put the pressure on and making it ever so hard for YURR to come back in this one.
Half a minute remaining. YURR need one, but they may not get that chance. It's Cause again. He's been the cause of their grief. YURR have not been able to stop this guy's shots, and once again he strikes. It's a 2-goal lead for Nova, and with insurance now, things have got to be feeling good for the 100x Nova side, but with minimal time remaining, YURR could still find a way back, but those chances are not very high and not very strong, and man, this is going to be quite the comeback for them if they can make it happen. But Nova, again on targets, and they nearly find it there with that triple commit. At this point, they're going for freestyle. YURR's got to be taking advantage.
And looks like they will not. So a 2-goal deficit will be too much as Kaz puts in an extra one. Just a little bit of a security goal for him. And it looks as though Thanu has already left the match, as well as CB. So it appears that that will be it for the rest of the series. Perhaps, again, not the way that things would have liked to end if you are YURR, but it will be the end. 100x taking the series in a sweep. And what a statement, despite being the underdogs. I'm speechless. I don't know.
Lower back momentum really does great things for you, and I think also what helps is the fact that 100x35 has a really good record on this stream, and that only continues here with this win from Nova, but it was 4 games straight. They take down YURR, and the 100x35 hopes and dreams of making it to that main event in the Grand Circuit are still alive. They may not be very secure, but they are still playing in this tournament, and with that win, they'll be playing against the winner of Sloth Lost Dogs and Sloth Apocalypse. In fact, actually, we just got a result from that. Sloth Apocalypse just won 4-2, so they'll be playing against the winner in Sloth Apocalypse in that next round. So for 100x Nova, they already know who their next opponent is, but what a result that's going to be for them. A 4-0 sweep. And oh, Sethpom, you told me to pay attention to Nova for good reason. These guys have come out and they really showed you that aggressive style that they've had has actually gotten a lot better. This team used to be known for having a ton of overcommits, but since I last saw them, they've gotten a whole lot better, and they could definitely make this lower bracket run.
Yeah, I mean, I do find it quite funny because we did see a little bit of it in the beginning of that series, especially in that first game where YURR had come out of the gate so strong, and we had seen a lot of overcommits from 100x Nova. You know, they looked a bit iffy to start things out, but it seems like they really figured it out. And to go ahead and take a sweep against a team that you were originally projected to lose, and, you know, to go out there and prove yourself on that stage is such a good statement. I mean, they did such a good job of making that statement tonight and making sure that they are heard and that they are known as a dangerous team in this qualifier. I mean, it's important, and just like that, I mean, their season is not over.
Oh, and to talk about that here is Teshega, the captain. So he's going on for a little interview here with 100x Nova, the new name for the 100x Astro side. So you guys, your lower bracket run continues. The hopes of 100x25 continue with them, and a 4-0 sweep over YURR. Teshega, I'm sure, is a bit nerve-wracking, the fact that you guys have played in the lower bracket for so much of this tournament, but that incredible story for you guys only continues here with this incredible win.
Yeah, man, we just love making things more difficult on ourselves, I guess. Just losing series that maybe we shouldn't lose, and then having to go through lowers.
Yeah, I do think you guys, you know, sort of made a statement tonight. Like I said earlier on during the broadcast, is, you know, you guys weren't really the projected favorites in this one. You came into it and you shut them down early, and since then you never looked back. I mean, what was sort of going through your head during that series? Why were you able to have such success?
I mean, realistically, we've had issues with going into series against teams that are good enough to compete but teams that we're not used to playing against as far as skill level. We've been really focusing in scrims and stuff on facing teams as good as possible. And with that, when we get a little bit more time on the ball and we get a little bit more little more opportunities, we like to try and go for the clips instead of necessarily just putting the easy shots on goal, which I think is something we've really been focusing on with a lot of these games, and that's something we did tonight, which was just put the easy shots on goal. Don't make it more difficult on ourselves than we need to.
I definitely did, and again, we mentioned, I know before the stream, how much game one matters in a match like this, especially for these two teams with a long low bracket run to go. You really want to get yourself started early, and I feel like that game one set everything in motion. For you guys coming into it, how important was game one to you guys in this series? Because for us, at least, it seemed pretty important to the series overall. But I wonder what you guys were thinking during that incredibly close game one that, and at least for us, kind of started your guys' incredible run in this series.
Well, funny enough, we were in the middle of the Stride tournament on Start GG, and we were waiting to see if they were going to be ready in time because we were still in it in lowers. So we ended up actually playing against G2, the women's team, and we played against them like as our match was supposed to start because they wanted a little more time to warm up. So I mean, realistically for us, we just think of it as just another game. We're just moving forward. Nothing, keep the nerves at a minimum. More thinking about being in the right position rather than executing, keeping things as easy on ourselves as possible.
G2 Luna's no joke. That team's pretty solid.
Oh yeah.
So,
yep.
By the way, Seth, I don't know if you know G2 Luna, but that's Karma and Tallybird's teams. Pretty solid. That's like an SSL team. So, like that's high level for it. So I guess you can call that a pretty good warm up to Shiga. To play against G2 Luna. I'd say that's a pretty good warm up for a team of your caliber.
Yeah, we ended up throwing against them, man. We went up 2-0 and then lost 3-2 in overtime. But oh well.
What a close one.
Yeah, I would have loved to see that match myself. That would have been a good matchup as well. But Sethpom, you have any last questions you want to ask to Shaker here before we'll let him go? I know it's late, so I don't want to keep him for long. But if there's anything else you want to say, I was just trying to say.
Well, yeah, I just got one more question for you, Shaker. I'm thinking about perhaps your future in this BLCS qualifier. I mean, you've certainly made a statement for yourselves so far, but going into that matchup next week against that Sloth team. Yes, thank you. How are you feeling? I mean, what do you think is going to be your game plan? What are you doing this week to sort of build up to that match and finally get that underway?
Well, we've been doing lots of putting in lots of work recently. Just came back off spring break where I was gone, so we just got back into it this week. We're prepping for RLCS quals. I think this series just coincidentally is at about the same time. So just staying prepped with being on the verge of being out is something we're used to, and I think honestly comfortable with. Because I mean, RLCS quals, we're usually, if we make it, it's through lowers. A bunch of like these Start GG tournaments, we get sent to lowers and then we're trying to survive. And I think that's, something we're used to. We're not used to having the luxury of being able to lose. So just every week, it's just, we know that it's do or die and we're comfortable in those situations because of it.
I like that.
And again, congratulations on your win, Shaker. Good luck in your match against Sloth Apocalypse, whether that will be streamed or not. But again, for now, have a good rest of your night. Have a great rest of your tournament. Before you leave, Tasheka, is there any sort of you have any final statements you want to make here before we'll let you go and kind of enjoy the rest of your evening?
Yeah, man. Shout out Thrifty for all the support as a owner of 100X. Shout out Sporty and Seth here for taking the time out of their day to stream for us. And then shout out Luke for coaching us and yelling at us twice a week for everything that we do wrong.
Well, that sounds about right for Luke. I've met him as well. Great person overall here. But again, congratulations on your win, though. Far sweep over your run in the Grand Circuit continues. It's a long road to that main event, but it's a road that you guys are en route to running through as well. So good luck against Sloth Apocalypse when that match will be scheduled. But an amazing rest of your evening here, Tashega. And again, congratulations on your win here.
Thank you, brother.
Congrats.
That was Tashega there, and Sethpom, it was a fun time having you. Sorry that match wasn't closer, but yeah, you can see Nova didn't want it to be close, so good on them for doing that. But is there anything you want to say before we end off our night here and end off the stream? This is the only match tonight, so any last things you want to say before we're going to get a raid? And in fact, actually, ironically, we're going to raid Stride because I do know the people on Stride, so we'll raid them to end off our evening.
Awesome. Well, I just wanted to say thank you for having me on, Sporty. I really owe it to you for allowing me to cast with you on this one. It was an absolute blast, man. I really enjoyed this one, and I'm glad that we were able to sort of get that going. And you know, I have fun casting with you every time. So I I was glad to be here today, and obviously congratulations to 100x Nova on the win. And I do gotta say, I told you so about them taking the win.
You had more faith in them than I did. You believed in the little bracket run, and they definitely proved it's also Cause coming in with a little follow. Thank you for the follow. Cause, congratulations on your win. We'll get a little raid going here to Stride. Thank you all so much for joining the Spuddiest stream tonight. It was a big win for 100x Nova to continue their run in the lower bracket. But for me and Sethpom, go show support to Sethpom. Sethpom12 on Twitch, Sethpom RL on X/Twitter. Thank you all so much for joining. Have an amazing rest of your night. We'll see you again tomorrow.